We are taking advantage of the beautiful day today. We've paid a trip out to the Ottawa Nursery to check in with Kat McGraw. Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you too, Julie.
Thank you for letting us come your way. I think the last time we were out here, we were talking about fall planting. Now
Yes.
we're talking about spring.
Yes, time flies.
It does fly. So we're just off the cusp of a really cold spell. A lot of people watching may have gotten burned, literally. Plants they put in the ground could have not done so well with this hard freeze. Are you seeing a lot of that?
Yes, we're seeing a lot of frost damage. We got down in some areas 28 degrees on Friday evening. We're encouraging everyone to wait until after April the 15th before they even think to start putting out their vegetable garden.
But you know that they can't wait. And y'all can't really wait either, because when you come into the nursery, we're in what you call your flower showcase.
Yes.
I don't know how many varieties of tomatoes are behind you,
Right now,
Kat.
62.
60, and you're getting more.
And we usually end up with about 75 varieties before it's over with.
It's tantalizing. It's not fair to come in and see all this beautiful color and think you can't yet get your hands dirty. So you're going to show us today how to plant a container garden that's easy enough to cover in case it should get cold again.
Yes, this is what I call a salsa garden. We are going to use tomatoes, peppers, onions, put and cilantro. It's pretty, and you'll be able to eat a lot of the produce out of this. But this right now, you could pot it up, you could put it out in the sun. If the weather looks like it's going to get below 35 degrees, you could cover it up with a towel or a sheet.
Okay.
And it should be good to go.
Okay, I want to talk about the size of that container versus the size of these plants. They're little, and that's a big container.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that tomatoes will get a root system of at least a 5-gallon size. So this container is about a 20-gallon container. Which, this is huge. So you need to make sure that when you're putting a garden together that you've got a pot that can hold all this.
Okay. What if you have a pot that's not that deep, but it's wide? Will the tomato roots go the other way?
They will grow in the other way, but you're better off. Like in the ground, they will go down a good foot to 18 inches.
Okay, so that's a lot that you've got in there. You've thrown the marigolds in to keep the insects away.
Right, and for a little color.
So are you gonna show us how you would plant it?
I am going to show you how I would do this.
Okay.
When you're doing tomatoes, one of the key with tomatoes is to plant tomatoes deep. I would take off the little suckers on the bottom of the plants, and there are little hairs all over the stem on the tomatoes, and all these will form roots.
Oh, so you want to get those under the soil?
Under the soil, and that will give you a much sturdier tomato plant. It looks very small at the top, but and the same on this one. This one's already quite tall.
Now, Kat, are you using the same variety of tomato, or are you going to do two different kinds?
I am using both of these are forms of Roma tomatoes, which make good salsa. And one is a San Marzano tomato, which is a large salsa tomato, and the other one is a Roma.
Okay.
And both of these are paste tomatoes. And they're not super juicy, which you don't want a real runny salsa.
Correct.
But they do have great flavor.
Okay.
And I've also added some red onion.
Okay. So for someone who doesn't know gardening, they might take a look at that plant and say, oh, look how it's all floppy, but you want it to look that way?
It will, as it gets into a bigger area, it will stand up.
Okay. I'm also looking at how confidently you just broke that in half. Don't be afraid to do that.
Don't be afraid. Now, on these, there are several onion sets in one. There's at least 5 or 6.
Oh, wow.
So I would just stick them around the sides of the pot.
I'm noticing too how easy it is for you to maneuver that dirt. Have you just used potting soil in there?
I use potting soil that has perlite in it, so that ensures that you've got good drainage. You wouldn't use planting mix, and that it will compact and it will stay soggy. This potting soil does not have any fertilizer put into it. I use an organic fertilizer when I'm doing vegetable
And she's going to
plants.
show us that in a second. Okay.
All
Now
right.
what is that?
And these are jalapeno peppers.
Ooh.
And each one of these will get about 2 feet tall. And they're really good. They're not super hot, but they're got a little kick to them, which is good in salsa.
So I know from your tomato plants, I mean, those are just going to be prolific. You're going to get gobs of tomatoes. Off of your peppers, how many peppers will you get? Should
Well,
you?
on the peppers, a lot of times peppers will produce all summer long. Normally you'll get, 3 or 4 a week, and a little pepper goes a long way when you're making salsa or you're cooking.
Okay.
I also have cilantro,
Love it.
which is a nice herb, and some people like a little cilantro, some people like a lot of cilantro. Some people, they think cilantro tastes like soap. And
Not me.
It's just a taste preference.
And I notice how you put that towards the edge of the pot. Is that going to trail?
It will get bushy and trail, and you want your pot, it's going to produce for you, but you also want it to have
Pretty.
some appeal to it. And I'm going to put one over here on this side.
Okay.
And then I add some marigolds, which are good pollinator attractors, and they're also good to keep the bad bugs off the tomatoes.
All right. So
And
now
they pretty it up a little bit.
you had mentioned with the perlite in there, that'll allow for good drainage. Do you
Uh-huh.
have to be careful to not overwater? What's your watering requirements?
On watering these, my preference would be to do them either early in the morning, every morning, before 8 o'clock.
Every morning.
Every morning. When it's full sun and when it starts getting above 80, it's going to drain out every day. If we have rain, you would skip that day, but if you don't, you need to keep it watered every day.
Okay.
And also, stick one there.
You can't multitask, right? You can't talk and plant at the same time.
Yeah, but also a good vegetable fertilizer I would put in there, and this particular one is an organic one. It's made by Espoma, and I would sprinkle.
And it just lays on top.
It lays on top. It's water soluble, and when you water it, it will go down into the soil.
Love it. And do you have to be careful about over fertilizing, Kat?
I would put this in initially when you're planting, and then once a week, my favorite fertilizer is fish emulsion. But once a week, I would water with fish emulsion, like a teaspoon in a gallon of water.
Okay. So you
And
buy the fish emulsion, you have it for a long, long time
you
because
can
you're going
use
to
this
blend it.
on anything. Fish emulsion can go on flowers. It generally has a smell for about 30 minutes, but then it dissipates, so it
Okay.
goes away. But it keeps your plants nice and green. It works as a natural fungicide, and it also attracts your cats. But if you've got so
Okay, so I have two questions for you.
Uh-huh.
One, those tomatoes are going to get tall. How do you like to stake them?
I would put like 2 or 3 bamboo sticks in this, and you can do a twine around it as they grow, and that's all that I would do to it. And it doesn't have to be bamboo. You could get a limb out of the yard, even off crepe myrtle, which was hardwood,
Uh-huh.
and form a little teepee and just tie a string around it. And as they grow, either take a bread tie and sort of attach it to the stems to stabilize them, but that should hold them.
And full sunlight means 5 to 6 hours of afternoon sun or morning?
If you can get 5 to 6 hours in the morning, that's fine, or 5 to 6 hours in the afternoon, either one would be fine.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're also telling people to shop and shop early because COVID has thrown off your inventory a little bit, right?
It has. There is a short supply of trees and shrubs this year. The freeze in Texas, I think, people down there lost everything in their yards. They're ordering from nurseries around here and all up north, trying to replenish that. I have a daughter that was just down around Houston, and she said you could hear chainsaws and things everywhere you went because all their plants are dead down there.
Okay.
And they're the vegetable plants, they have been going out the door, so they also too are I think going to be in short supply.
So now you know how to safely make a salsa garden, courtesy of Kat McGraw. If you have a different kind of tomato that you want to plant, this is your place to come because they've got 62 varieties already.
Yes.
More are on the way. The staff here can let you find the variety that you are looking for to make the summer all that you want it to be. Kat, thank you so much.
All right, thank you for coming.
And stick around because once April 15th is come and gone and it's safe to put those beautiful, colorful annuals in your garden, we'll be heading back out to the Ottawa Nursery to give you a lay of the land there as well. In the meantime, here's where you can come and shop. Thanks again, Kat.
All right, thank you, Julie.